Good morning. Age coming at you again with another video for Autodesk Inventor 2023. This one is going to be covering the SolidWorks education lessons 13 and 14. And here's where we kind of make a little bit of a transition from using the standard extrusion technique. This part is actually a mixture of a couple of extrusions as well as some chamfer and a loft. There is a video on the channel that talks about the lofting tool. I'll try to link it in the description of this video, so that way, like, you can see the loft. But we will be covering the lofting tool in doing this part. But the lofting tool is a tool that creates 3D material that is used in Autodesk Inventor and design. So this is lesson 13 here. We'll just jump right into it. We're looking for the best starting position. And in this case, it is the top view, okay? Mainly because of what this corner here looks like. This triangle shape here, we're gonna draw this object at first, completely ignoring this section right here. We're gonna do this bottom. We're going to do all around it, but we will ignore this completely. And the reason is going to be because of the lofting tool. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to draw the top view and extrude what we need, and then chamfer, and then we'll do the loft that we need last. Okay, so yeah, there's more information here dimensionally, but we really need to draw this top view in order to get kind of the strategy best to do this corner. Okay, so let me move my drawing here to the side monitor so I can see it as I'm working. We'll start our sketch again from the top view, get the orientation good, and then we'll start drawing the outside perimeter here. The outside perimeter is 40 millimeters up. It's 70 millimeters long. Coming down this way is 20. Then it has a diagonal, and then it goes to this point. This line here is what we need dimensioned. This line is going to be 30. And there it is. So that's our outside perimeter shape there. Let's zoom in a bit so it's easier to see, right? There's our outside perimeter shape there. Now we need to draw the internal lines here because we got some lines that are there. It's bisecting this line right in half and going to this corner. We don't need any dimensions for that if we know what we're doing. And then we need this corner up straight at a 90-degree angle to that point as well. So if you want to know the dimensions for like this line here, it's 20 millimeters to that location. See, 20, actually it's right there, actually 20 millimeters down, and it goes all the way across. This is 30 over, goes all the way up, 40 millimeters. So the dimensions on those are already known and already looking good. So now we need to do some extruding. Again, we're extruding upwards, an upwards direction on the y-axis here. So this particular one here, this will be up 40. Actually, they're all going to be up 40, and we'll hit the next, and then this one is going to be 20. Okay, so now we have our kind of starting point here. So now we're getting into it. So we have our extrusions complete. Now we got to chamfer this edge here. This edge is going to be 20. Then this chamfer here, this is a two distances. So this chamfer here, the distance is 40 horizontally and 20 down. So it looks just like that. So this was 20. This one was 40 horizontally back and 20 downwards, meeting to this edge here. This surface here is 20 millimeters up from the bottom. So they all kind of meet at this section here. Now we get into making the loft, right? Now, if you watch the loft video, you know that lofting works with 2 sketches or more, and you choose what the loft looks like when it begins and what it looks like when it ends. That's the idea. It's like extruding something, but you get to choose what it looks like on either side of the extrusion and it lofts in between those two sketches. So we're going to start a sketch here on this triangle here, this surface. I need this triangle shape, right? I need this triangle drawn. So I'm going to use a tool called Project Geometry. And what this does is I've started a sketch on this surface, on this plane. I'm going to project geometry and click this triangle. And Inventor is going to automatically trace this triangle out and make those yellow lines, which is the sketch I need. It is the triangle shape. Okay, so really easy way to do that with sketching tools, projecting the geometry, projecting an edge or a shape to a sketch. You can click on that edge or shape. It's going to trace those edges or shapes onto the plane sketch that you're currently working on. So very effective tool. There's another video that's covering that tool as well. And we're going to start a sketch here at this front of this part, and we're just going to put a point right there, right at the edge corner. Now this yellow line I do not need. This is Inventor trying to be helpful because I put a point on this edge and it said, oh, you want to highlight this edge. I don't want this edge. I want to click it and delete it. I do not want that yellow line. I want these yellow lines for this triangle. I did not want this one here, right? This point is right there on the edge, on the top point of this edge. And I deleted that line that Inventor made for that edge, leaving only this point, right? So this is it just puts a point on there and you're good. Now we can loft because we have to have two sketches or more to loft. So now we can loft, and we're going to select sketch 2, and then we're going to select sketch 3. And what's happening here is it's going to be adding material in the shape of this triangle. And as it adds the material, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it reaches this point. I'll hit OK, and there it is, right? This part is complete. This is lesson 13, right? So we had to do some extruding, we had to do some chamfering, and then finally we had to do the loft tool to kind of solidify that corner that is there. Again, there's other ways to do this, but it's a nice way to use the lofting tool to do a part like this. And it's pretty quick. Like if you can learn and understand loft, like this is a pretty quick part to do for sure. Okay, so the next part we need to look at is again the similar idea in lesson 14. Lesson 14 is also going to use the loft tool here, but it's going to be cutting out material rather than adding it like we just did. So lesson 13, we use loft to add material. This lesson 14 is a good lesson to use to learn how to cut with the lofting tool. So we're going to start out with just a block of material, 40 by 60 by 40, just make a block of material. And then we're going to use lofting to draw these triangles and cut them out to the points that are on the other side, right? So that's our plan. So we just need to start out by drawing, we need to make a cube. We need to make a cube of material. So I'll get it actually doesn't matter what plane I'm on now that I'm thinking about it because we're just drawing a cube, right? We're good either way. So this is 60 and this is 40. Finish sketch. This extrusion is 40. And that is my box, my block of material, not a cube, but it's a block of material for sure. And so now we got to sculpt out what we don't need to have as material in this with the lofting tool. So if I look at my sketch, I can see that there's two triangles in the right side view. So this right side view here, there's a triangle shape, and there's also a hidden line, but there's a triangle shape here I need to draw, and that lofts to a point here on the other side, which is right here that's highlighted here, this vertex, okay? So I'm gonna start my sketch here on the right side, and here I'm just gonna draw the triangle I need it to be. Now, as soon as I do that, I get these yellow lines. I wanna make sure you delete yellow lines. Unless you're projecting geometry, they are not helpful. And then we want to make sure we have all these in here like that. Again, delete yellow lines. These dimensions here, this is 20. This also should be 20. There it is. Don't know why we're not fully dimensioned or fully defined. but those are good. That's a good triangle there. Let's make sure it's perpendicular. It should be perpendicular. And on the edge. Okay, we're good. And then we finish that sketch. There's our triangle right there in the corner of that right side. Now we're going to flip it all the way around to the left side, and we're going to draw a point here on the left side in the corner that is opposite to our triangle shape. So right there, I placed the point tool. I used the point tool just right here to click at that vertex right there in order to place that point. And then I had to delete the yellow line, right? You always want to make sure you delete the yellow line, and then I'll finish sketch. So now I have two sketches. I can loft now. I have two sketches. That's my minimum. So I need to make sure I do that. So two sketches, click the first. Well, click to add sketch, click sketch, click sketch. Oh, I'm having an issue. This is exciting. Again, live recording. Let's see what happens. Okay. It has a profile. We're gonna troubleshoot this one right here. Click to add, sketch 2. Sketch 3. Does not want to add sketch 2. It's very strange. Let's do it again. No. No. Okay. Let's just redo sketch 2. I'm going to delete it for whatever reason. Inventor said nope and didn't want sketch 2 to be a thing. So it is what it is. We'll come back to this point. We'll come over 20. We'll come down to this here. Come back up. Let's delete the yellow lines. Make sure that this is 20. Finish sketch. Let's see what happens. Loft again. Click to add. This time sketch 3. Point, sketch 4. It did it. All right. Well, again, live recording. If something doesn't work, if something's not working according to what it should be doing, again, sometimes it's best to just delete it out, redraw it, do the exact same thing twice. So for whatever reason, it did not like the first sketch. That happens to you, just delete the sketch and do what we did, and that's fine, right? If you were following along and you were drawing and it worked perfectly, you're here, right? So we have our two sketches selections here, the point in sketch 3 and then sketch 4, the triangle. We need to make sure we're on cut mode now here though, because we're cutting this material out of the block. So I'm going to click OK, and there it is. There's our first little cutout here. Now the other side is opposite of the first, right? So if I start a sketch here now on the right side, this is where the point is here. I'll delete the yellow line. So this side now is a point because this was the triangle. This is now a point, and now we're reversing it going over here. Now, the reason I'm doing this kind of all separated out instead of drawing it all in like one sketch on the side is because of how temperamental, as you have seen in this video, how temperamental the loft tool can sometimes be, right? The loft tool can sometimes get temperamental, which is why we want to delete yellow lines and delete things that are not being used in the sketch of loft. And so that way we can select it, right? So now that we've drawn the triangle again, we have our point. We're doing the same thing. We're lofting, we're selecting our two sketches. It did it, changing it to cut, hitting OK. And that is the final finished product, the finished product of lesson 14, just like that. So again, we saw some issues with the loft tool for sure, but again, it is temperamental. You need to make sure your sketches are accurate. Your sketches don't have any extra lines or extra things in them, because a lofting tool is very specific, especially if you're lofting an entire sketch of what is in that sketch. So if you have issues with it, you can follow what I did here and kind of delete that sketch out, redraw it, make sure you're good. Again, make sure you delete any unused yellow lines and loft away, right? So this has been a tutorial video, Autodesk Inventor 2023, looking at lessons 13 and 14. You all have a great day.